Hi everyone, I'm Phoebe and this is my second video for Mark's TAC Takeaway Mental Scheme. Today I'm going to be answering a question from Amber about whether taking time off will drastically affect your performance. I think this is a really good question because I know it's a question that a lot of athletes ask when they get injured. So I'm going to answer it from that perspective, so the idea of when you're forced to take time off due to injury, but then also when you're not really forced to take time off, but the benefits of taking time off either at the end of a season or even just during the week, such as rest days. And so I'm going to cover the whole scale up down from months down to days. So I hope this is helpful. I just wanted to start off by saying that I'm not a physiologist, and so everything I am going to say is based on my own experience and any articles or papers that I've read when I've been injured and forced to take some time off. And I'm also not just going to sit here saying, oh yeah, it's fine to take time off, it's really easy, don't worry about it. Because if that was the case, then everyone would be really good and there would almost be no effective training, and I don't want to encourage that at all. So from my own experience, my best performance in races have come after I've had years of consistent training put behind me and when they haven't been injured. So I got my first international vest about 2 years after I started training competitively, and those 2 years were injury free. I probably took a few days off every now and again for a little niggle, but nothing major. The last 2 years I've had several injuries, spent quite a lot of time out, and I haven't been nearly as successful. Obviously correlation does not equal causation, but it does seem to be an effect that consistent training does produce good performances. Even if it's not just from the physiological side of you're physically fitter, just the fact and having the confidence and knowing that you've trained really well is often very useful on the start line, because you have to have confidence in yourself in order to perform well. So in terms of how much performance does decline, I think the rule of thumb I've heard is that after about 2 weeks of not training, your top level performance starts to decline. And so this means that generally elite athletes or people who are really fit have a more significant decline initially than just normal joggers. Because if you imagine that everyone has a sort of baseline fitness of about here, and elite athletes train up to get to here, this bit is lost in 2 weeks, but then this decrease down here is slower. And I think it typically takes about double the amount of time to get back what you've lost. So say you're out for 2 weeks, it would take you about 4 weeks to get back, but that's sort of an old wives' tale, so don't quote me on that one. So therefore, if you are forced to take a break, I would try and recommend putting in some form of cross training, so cycling or swimming if you're injured, or trying to play other sports if you're just finding that running's taking up a lot of time and you haven't got time to do all of it. But either way, it will affect your performance, but I would say drastically might be a bit strong. However, this being said, you do need to take breaks at some point, and you can't train 100% all year round. So for example, if I've had a really intense season of racing, especially if I've been uninjured throughout the whole season, I often take a week off at the end of it, or a couple of easy weeks, just of steady runs, just to let myself recover from the season physically as well as mentally, because it can be tough training really hard all the time. This is also the same for during the week. I try to have one rest day if I'm in full training. I normally choose that to be Friday, but it can be your own personal choice. And you never want to try and do 2 hard days next to each other. So if you've done a hard session day, maybe make the next day an easy run, or go for a swim, or go for a cycle, or do something nicer, so that you can recover and let your muscles prepare for your next hard day. So I hope that answers your question and also gives you a bit more information about taking time off either from injury or the importance of taking little breaks during the season, during the year, to allow you to perform at your best.